was listening to something while I was starting to stream. Okay, are we live? Are we here? Hello, everyone. Welcome. Happy Friday. Hope you all are doing well. I don't know if I'm gonna keep. I want to like the layered necklace thing that's like a trend people are into right now, but I'm not. It's like, it only looks good when it's like perfect. And everything gets all tangled up, and I don't like that. I like change. Oh. There we go. That's probably just gonna make that worse, but we'll find out. Okay, I'm like very warm right now. Hopefully that doesn't end up being a problem. Anyways, hi everyone. Happy Friday. Here we are. Looking great. Thank you. I genuinely didn't know if I was going to be ready to stream on time. I was like, I'm rushing, I'm running around because I am going out after the stream. I don't normally do Friday date nights because I try not to have anything else I have to like go and do on Fridays after a stream unless it's like a party that starts at like 10, and then sometimes I'll do that. But for the most part, I try not to have any scheduled. But things just didn't work out for earlier in the week or the weekend, so we are doing something on Friday. So what we're going to do today is we are going to do a little like date night, get ready with me, like makeup thingy. And we're also going to be talking about Primal play and also answering y'all's questions. So this is an interactive Q&A. We do these every Friday at 6 o'clock. They are so much fun. We have a really great community here. And oh, thank you. You like the necklace? I know I don't normally wear like necklaces and stuff a lot, but I'll show you guys what I got going on jewelry wise. I got a moon necklace. I got a different moon necklace. I got some rings, and then I got a week-old manicure. So that's what, actually longer than a week. It's been 10 days. What day is it today? Yeah, it's been 9 days. We have a 9-day manicure on, but honestly, even though it was just like regular polish, it's lasted really well. So I am keeping it on for the time being, and we'll just see how that keeps going. So we're going to be getting ready for a date night. We're going to be chit-chatting, and we're going to be answering y'all's questions. So if you haven't been here before, this is an 18 plus only live stream. Please, if you're not at least 18, don't be here. It's not because I think that you're stupid or incapable of knowing about yourself and your desires, anything like that. It's just like a safety thing. We just don't want to be mixing adults and minors in this space. And then also, please read the rules down below. Really quick things you need to know would be, gotta know that I answer questions in the order they come in, so please don't spam the chat. I try my best to monitor the chat as it's going along in live time, and then also like back in time, reading questions in order and getting to them in order. If you want to make sure that I read your question and answer it, you can use a super chat or use Streamlabs. Both are down below, or using the $sign in the chat, and that will highlight your question with a very cute graphic, and then I will read it and I will respond to it as soon as I'm done with whatever current thing we're talking about. And sometimes I'll just like skip right to that one. So that's that on that. And other than that, just like I don't answer questions about like mental or like medical health related things just because I am not a professional. I'm not a therapist, not a psychologist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a surgeon. I'm not any of those things, so I cannot really help you if you're like, I got a big bruise from the scene I did last week. Is that normal? Like, I can't really help you. So other than that, just be kind, be respectful, listen to the mods, and please, if you can say that my outfit is nice, you can be polite, but if you start being like, I want to take you on a date, please don't. Please. I actually have a very like strict thing about like not dating people that like are fans of my channel, so sorry. I know it's like, I feel bad for like influencers that have like a big audience, because I have like I have like a teeny weeny little audience by comparison to people that have like 10 million subscribers. I don't know how hard it must be to like date people. I mean, at that point, you're probably so rich, you just like get on Raya and like date celebrities, so it's probably actually not that bad, but you know, some people make it sound like it's like the hardest thing in the world when you're like famous trying to date, and like I think it probably is harder. Because then people like assume they know things about you. Okay, what is going on with the camera angle here? I'm Anity. Hello, little baby. Hello, sweet girl. Hi, you came and got me in the bathroom earlier, didn't you? She came and got me in the bathroom when I was getting ready, and she was like smelling the air. She was like just smelling around. And I was like, what do you want, dog? What's happening? And she was fine. She was trying to look for something. And she took me all around the house because I was like, show me what it is. And she just took me on a tour of the whole house and never found out what it was that she was trying to show me or trying to find. But probably means there was a cat outside. She usually, if there's like a cat or a bunny outside, she'll like come and get me. And then she wants to show me where they are, which is like very sweet. But yeah. The weather has been so crazy in the Pacific Northwest, my makeup cannot do it. I mean, I don't really wear makeup on a daily basis because I only really go outside to go to the gym. So we're going to see how this works. Actually, I have found this works really well. And I grabbed the primer I use. This makeup, I have a video that I'm editing now that is like a BDSM dungeon night party like makeup look, and I talk about this. ASMR, that's not ASMR. But like this foundation, this makeup Forever HD Skin, tons of shades if I remember correctly. I wear 1N00, which used to be Y205. So this is, I think, either the lightest or the second lightest shade. And I really like it. I think it stays on really well, totally smudge proof. Can't say how good it is in like really high humidity, but for smudging purposes and like wearing it, like it'll come off on a mask, but like it lasts really, really well. So I like this foundation, but I'm not actually even sure if I'm gonna like fully wear foundation because actually like my skin's, we'll be talking about this in a video soon, my skin's actually a lot more clear than it's been in a long time. Like I still have some like post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation from like acne and then clearing that up, but it's like actually smooth again, which it's not been smooth in like almost a year. So I'm excited about that. I also have this like tinted moisturizer that I haven't used in a while, and I thought we could also give that a whirl. But what I'm leaning towards right now is just doing like trying to get this to be light coverage, like really shearing it out with the brush, and then like maybe going over with a sponge. I don't know. So we're gonna do makeup things. We're gonna talk about makeup stuff. We're gonna talk about all different BDSM things here today. And basically with Primal Play, just to get out of that addressed, that's not like the only topic we can talk about for today. We can talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. And I want to kind of just pick y'all's brains about this for a second, because I am working on a video about this, and I already have like a bullet point list of the points that I want to cover in the video, and just the list of the topics I want to cover by itself is a page. So I want to make sure I'm not missing anything, like in terms of like what questions you all have about it, your impressions of it, like what do you think it is like right now, like if you had to tell me what you think Primal Play is, what is that, what do you think it is? If you have never heard of it before, you can guess, but if you've like, oh, I'm into that, or I've read about it, this is what I think it is, I would love to know, because I'm really learning when I research this that there's sort of a couple dominant narratives about what Primal Play is, and I'm not sure I fully agree with them, and I want to make sure I like address all the points that are like sort of like common things that people say about Primal Play, like, oh, Primal Play is like, it's like rough body play, and like you chase somebody and it's about like being hunted and being prey, and I'm like, that can be part of it, but I just want to make sure that like I am covering what you guys want to know about it. And because like Primal Play has been something that's been like in my BDSM life since I like have started, like from the first day basically I was introduced to kink, I knew about Primal Play, so it's always been there for me, and so I have a very like specific, tailored to me understanding of what it is, if that makes sense. Excited for makeup with you. I know there's been a couple people that were like, I want to do a tutorial, talk about your makeup, and I'm not going to be doing like the full like filming makeup I would normally be doing, because the makeup, at least in my experience, the makeup that you do for like on camera is typically different than what you would wear in like real life. And like I do wear the makeup that I do for filming like out and around, but it's like, it's a lot. I have to make the colors a lot, like especially for the face makeup, like the blush and the contour, I have to make it a lot darker just to even make it possibly show up on camera, and that could also just be my camera being crappy, but that's also part of it. But before we do any makeup or anything, I just want to like get to some chat questions first of all, because I want to make sure once again that we are not you know, missing on anything, I want to have some things to chat about as we are doing the makeup. So people that don't care about makeup, you can just enjoy the regular stream, and you can enjoy looking at my very cute little doggo dog. Oh, thank you. Hey, Evie, just finished watching the video remake of High Protocol, and it was very informative to myself and hope to explore more submissive services. Well, you are so welcome, Amy. I'm so glad that you enjoyed that one. I like thought it was going to be one video when I started writing it, and then it became a very different video, and I am glad that you enjoyed it, because I thought that I had done like a more detailed video, and like this is what High Protocol is, but the actual video, the old video that I have about High Protocol, which I don't even think very many people know I even have, because it got like fully demonetized, like red $, no money, like completely age restricted. I don't even know why, because I was telling a story about a party that I went to, and that was basically it. Like, I think I explained a little bit of what High Protocol was, but at that point in like my kink journey, I had not necessarily done a lot of High Protocol events yet, and now it's been years, so it's like I've done a lot more. I've been around a lot more different concepts, so we're learning more every day. So, all right. I'm actually very thirsty right now, but not in that way. Oh yeah, I gotta zoom in. Gotta zoom in on the flufferino there. Oh, other way. Boop, boop, boop. Gaze upon her floofiness. I also watched ET for the first time last night. I don't know what I knew the kind of the famous shots from the movie that like get referenced a lot in pop culture. I had no idea what even was actually in the movie or what happened in it. And it was sad. Like, I was sad watching it a lot of the time. I was like, oh no, the poor little alien. My viewing experience was like, I'm glad I didn't watch this as like a little kid, because I think it would have like made me very sad to watch as a child, because I was very sensitive. It's, you know, it's just me being a Cancer, I suppose. My white balance on this camera is fine. The one I film with is, if I'm filming in natural light, it's fine. If I am filming and it's dark outside and I'm trying to just use like indoor, like practical lighting, it does not know what to do. It is always way, way, way too warm. But, you know, I'm upgrading to a better camera, so I'm just like waiting to get my like new filming backdrop finished, and then I'm gonna like switch over to my new better camera, because like I want everything to be new all at once. I'm planning to upgrade my and most of it's already kind of like done. I'm just like waiting to finish a few things. I'm upgrading my camera and the background, and I am also, what's the other thing I was gonna do, and the lighting situation. So hopefully, oh, and I also want to do a new intro and outro graphic. Like, instead of doing my like normal intro, I might be switching it. So just like mentally prepare for that. I might be switching up the intro to my videos, because I get mostly comments that people really enjoy it, but I also get people that like are instantly turned off from my videos because they don't like the intro. And so I feel like, well, I don't want somebody to not watch or listen to what I have to say because they don't like the intro. So I'm workshopping it. But that's like the hardest, one of the like weird hard things about being a YouTuber is like figuring out to do your intro. Okay, so I'm gonna get started doing some makeup. I do remember that, but it was years ago when you were still at the beginning of your YouTube career. Yes, it was. And I'm not saying that you didn't remember that. It's just like I don't expect anyone to know that, because I don't even think I've gotten a comment on that video in probably like 2 years. So not very many people have seen it. Mm-hmm. Don't take this badly. We also did some TV, and if you want your vids to pop, some uplighting up front and some backlighting. Yeah, like I know like the general rules of lighting. I don't know. I think this little camera would be overheating. What's wrong, camera? We're supposed to film my dog, and you're just freaking out. Okay. I don't know. I can't tell if it's over. I don't think opening a window is going to help the situation. Got a little bit of a... Now my neighbors can hear me talk about kinky stuff. I don't know if that's gonna help at all, but it seemed like it was doing something funky. Yeah, I know like generally like how to do like I know like I've watched enough videos about it that like I know generally how to make my lighting better. Like I'm planning to do that when I upgrade everything. It's just the space that I'm filming in right now is very small, And so it's hard to get, like, especially if I'm doing like bigger like soft boxes, like I can barely fit one inside that room. So having enough like practical lighting and like actual like the regular lighting that you would do if you were doing like a sit down like BBC interview type thing is different. I'm not promising I'm going to change the intro. I might experiment with it and just see what the feedback is. So don't panic yet. I just might be changing some things, and I want to give you all some advance notice so that way you can prepare. I'm also doing my makeup, just light makeup for the day, BB cream, some eyeliner, and a touch of eyeshadow in the corner of my eye. That is definitely a good look. Oh, okay, this is out of order, but I feel like I want to answer this because it's such an interesting question. Would you call the Gorean subculture primal? The society depicted in the novels often incorporates physical strength, survival skills, and natural instincts as valued traits. So I don't know enough about what happens in the Gore novels to be able to say whether or not it is definitively. I would say my impression of like the people that use that setting as an inspiration for their kink, and like people say that they're like, I'm a Kajira, I'm a Kajirus, I'm like, you know, like I feel like it's almost the opposite. Like I feel like it's definitely got more of a flavor of like extreme master slave, or like there's like a master slave with CNC elements. I think how I would describe the type of BDSM that is influenced by like the Planet of Gore novels. But I think there's probably a way to do it that is more informed by like sort of like primal stuff. Because for me, primal is like, I think it's more than just like valuing physical strength and like survival skills. But I don't know. I think it's an interesting question. I did see on Twitter the other day, there's an account that I follow that he used to be big on Tumblr. It's called The Rule Set. He was like really big into like schoolgirl roleplay stuff. He had like very, very popular for that on the old Tumblr days. And he made a post on Twitter that was like, whatever happens to like the Gorean subculture? Are they like still around? I never hear anything about them anymore. And it was like, I feel like it's not a new person's game, because the books came out starting in the 70s, I think, or maybe like the late 60s. So I feel like sort of the peak era and like generation for people that would adopt that were like people that were on like IMVU and Second Life, like people that were doing that kind of like, I don't know what to call that genre of like the MMO style, like online roleplay, and then early internet adopters and like Gen X. I feel like Gen X is probably where it peaked. I think people are still into it. I'm like, it could be a TikTok. I'm saying this, it could be a TikTok trend tomorrow, for all I know. It could end up being a TikTok trend. All right, I know my intro is like my brand, but I feel like it's good to try new things sometimes. Just to like, I feel like it'll be broadly the same, and hopefully you guys will like it. But also, again, like I said, I don't want to like, you know, there's people who are like, oh, I'd watch your videos, but like your intro like is cringy or whatever. Like I've literally gotten that feedback before, so but I don't know how many people actually think that. All right, I'm scrolling back to the top of the chat, and I'm making sure that I'm not missing any questions. I've heard the weather is really crazy everywhere. Like it's like in the hundreds in California. The water in Florida is over 100 apparently. I was shocked when I heard that because I grew up in Florida for like 5-ish years, and I like having surface temperatures on the water being like in the 90s and like up to 100. That's wild. So I feel very bad. I'm very sorry, Florida and the South. You're like, I'm complaining about the heat here, but it's because like my room's always really hot. So like the AC just doesn't. I don't know what it is.
Rosie Rosette donated $5.
Oh, thank you.
I have thought of a question. What's your favorite color? Sorry, it's not BDSM related. Oh, have you read the Kashiel Legacy books?
Oh my gosh, such a good question. No, Rosie, I love it. Okay, so my favorite color, if black isn't a color, it's purple. I love purple. Like my big water bottle is purple. Everything. You can't really tell because it makes it look this, like the green makes it look gray, but like this wall is purple. I love purple. Purple's my favorite color. It's not BDSM related. But I would say that Kushiel's Legacy series is BDSM related. It's a little like you can't really read it and be like, I'm gonna take this as inspiration for my BDSM dynamic, but I think it has a lot of really interesting concepts in it that could be really fun to play around with for like a high protocol event. And I know people have done like balls and like things that are sort of, I guess I would say, inspired by that series. And if you like, why maybe describe it as like a low fantasy, like a low, not even really fantasy, I guess, more of like an AU medieval Europe with occasional low fantasy elements. I would recommend that series. It's quite long. The books are pretty long, but I think it's like the first 3 or 4 are like pretty self-contained. You don't have to read all of them. But I really enjoyed it. I don't actually even think I actually finished reading the 3rd one. So I should probably, it's one of those things where like I got pretty far into reading it and then I just like set it down and I didn't pick it back up again. So get in your passport applications ASAP so you don't have to shell out the extra $60 a person to expedite. True. Always just getting your passport stuff as early as possible. A 5K run? Wow. I couldn't do that. I love being in the gym. I'm terrible at running. I've never been good at running a day in my life. I just don't have the lung capacity for it, I don't think. I think my lungs are just too small to deal with cardio. No, so I set it to start at 6:05 just because I needed like 5 extra minutes to like get all, like I had to get my makeup in here. I had to go find my dog. It just was like, it was a little struggle bus getting ready, so. It's a trend. I've been doing it for over 20 years. Well, I mean, like, I think people can have done it for a long time, but I also think that sometimes, like, things that used to be popular can be trends again. Like, I feel like for a while it was very minimalist. It was, like, one tiny dainty necklace and then, like, one little ring. Because it was very, like, Kardashian inspired and they tended to be very minimalist. And now I feel like it's much more 90s and 2000s inspired for a lot of people, where it's like multiple layers of necklaces and like chokers and like a bunch of chunky rings, and like that's more the vibe currently. He let you paint your nails neon green today, but he likes more reds, pinks, purples, etc. But I asked and you delivered. Oh my god, I love it. I've always wanted to do, like, I've planned at some point, I think when I do a vacation, or like maybe if I have like a reason to do it for like a festival or an event, I would love to do neon purple and neon green nails because that's like my favorite color combo. Yes, again, not a dating chat. I've been really wanting to get into primal play, but it seems really daunting. Well, Emma, in my video, I will hopefully make it much less daunting for you, because it was something that I very much, at the time when I was learning about primal play, there were some blogs about it, but that was really it, right? You had like, especially back in 2015, I think there was a FetLife group about it, which I was a part of for a little bit, but I found it kind of cringy. To be honest, so I didn't stay in it for very long. But I do remember seeing, there were a couple articles, a couple blogs, and most of them didn't sit right with me. And there was one, I want to say it was by the Iron Wench, but with a Y instead of with an E for the wench or winch part. And I'm going to be talking about it in the video that I make, because I think those articles were like really informative. I don't think they're like completely like accurate to me and like how I feel about it now, but I think that was like a really good solid foundation. So hopefully I will demystify it, because that's the one thing that really annoys me about the way that people talk about primal play, is they sort of talk about it in the same way that like people who are really into Tantra talk about it, where it's like this mystical art where you get to have this, you know, super cool, awesome sex that other people aren't having because you're completely awoken and you are in touch with your inner humanity in a way that other people aren't. Like, it gets talked about like it's like you've reached enlightenment because you want to bite people during sex. Like, it's like, calm down. Like, it's not that complicated. Because on the one hand, they simplify like primal play is when you want to bite people and you want to smell their hair, but then they're like, it's like a thing that not very many people have the intuition to know how to do, and it's like, we don't like need, it's not actually that complicated. Like, I think most things in kink are like this, like, with the exception of a few things like how to choke somebody properly and like rope bondage. Most things in kink are not that complicated. Like, it's like figuring out the mental part of it is much harder than figuring out like how to physically do the thing. Figuring out how it resonates with you mentally, connecting with a partner, communicating about it, understanding the why of what you're doing and what you get out of it, that's a lot harder, to me at least. But I will be hopefully making it seem accessible. How would I, as a femdom, start integrating primal play with a male pup submissive any long distance? Oh, I hadn't even thought about long distance. That's a good point. I'll have to talk about maybe some long distance ideas, because that is a good one. And then especially, like, I generally talk about things from what I try to make like a gender neutral perspective, where it doesn't matter what your gender is as a dom or as a sub. But I think that there can be different flavors to that depending on what you're tapping into in your roleplay inspiration for primal play. So I will think about that for sure. Okay, we're going to start doing some makeup because it's 6:30 and I want to like make sure I have time to get everything done. So the primer that I'm using is the Hourglass Veil Mineral Primer Sunscreen Broad Spectrum SPF 15, which doesn't mean anything. Do not rely on this. Do not rely on anything like this actually to be your sunscreen coverage. Okay, just 15 SPF. That doesn't do anything. That's meaningless, especially for makeup, because you have to reapply your sunscreen. So the actual pump for this is broken because this is like a little, not a travel size. I think it's like just a mini. Actually doesn't say how many ounces are in this, or does it? It does have titanium dioxide, which is probably how it gets the tint. Oh, it's 0.3 fluid ounces, so I think that is travel size or sample size. And I didn't like this with any of my old foundations, but it works really well with the Makeup Forever foundation. So I just kind of like dab it on there because why not? And I do put it all over. I don't do like 3 different. My skin will probably turn a little bit red while I'm touching it, but don't freak out. That's just my skin being the way that it is. I probably got a little bit too much, but we'll see. And I don't find this, like, it's not really that, like, pore blurring or anything. I can't really tell. Honestly, don't even really, like, well, okay. Actually, just kind of looking at it on its own in my mirror, I think it does kind of cover up some pores right here a little bit, but I mostly like it because I think it really helps with the longevity of the foundation. And you shake it up, shake it up. I did order more of these Maybelline New York Superstay lip things, and I really like them, but I haven't gotten them yet. I was hoping to wear one tonight, but they didn't make it in time, so. Wah, wah, wah. You gave me advice on my first munch, and it got me to actually go. Now I've been going to lots of events, and it's been amazing, so I want to say thanks. Oh my gosh, you're so welcome, Monty. I mean, you did the hard work. You were brave. You went to an event. You had a good time and went back. So congratulations to Monty, and hey, if you're in Monty's position and you've been wanting to go to an event and you just haven't gone yet, maybe take that as a sign that you should go. Well, you know, just be brave. Okay. So I'm going to put this on, and normally I do like a pump and a half for my whole face if I'm like filming, but I'll kind of just like see how far this gets me, and we'll just kind of go from there. I think right now I'm at like a pump-ish, so we'll see. Is there a term where you once counted romantic attachment as one of your main life goals, but now you are repulsed by relationships in general due to specifically neurodivergent social trauma. I know. I don't know about for aromantic stuff. I remember I found a word that was similar to this for asexuality, where it's like you're asexual due to like trauma reasons, which I feel like it's good. There's a separate term for that. I have like complicated feelings about like how trauma affects like sexual orientation, but I feel like that's not really my place to like say anything about that for other people. You know, like if that resonates for you, you should do it, because there's no skin off my nose. You're not really doing anything that's gonna hurt me. But I need to Google that real quick, but I'll find it because I know that there's a word for that that's like very similar, and I'm pretty sure there's like probably the same word that's just like for romantic stuff. Because I think that the term is specifically for like if you used to experience that kind of attraction, but then you don't anymore because of drama. So, anyways, I'm gonna let that set, and then I'll probably do a little bit of like a second layer on this cheek, just because I have like way more pigmentation on this cheek from acne being silly. Just being silly. So let me look up that term, because I know, how did I find it before? Oh, easy. I don't even know how I like found that so easily. So there's cadesexual or cadosexual. That's CAEDSEXUAL, and then with an O optionally if you want to, you know, have the O in there. I actually don't know why I don't know why there's an O sometimes and sometimes not. But that one says it is a micro label on the asexual spectrum which describes an individual who identified as allosexual, so experiencing sexual attraction, or not a part of the asexual spectrum at one point in their lives, but now are on the asexual spectrum due to past trauma. This label should only be used by those who are survivors of these past experiences. And I kind of, the etymology of it derives from the prefixes of cade and cado, which come from the Latin root cadere. I don't know how to pronounce Latin, which means to cut off. This meaning, oh, okay, yeah, sure, that makes sense. Which means represents that someone who identifies as a cadesexual feels that they have been cut off from being allosexual. There's not a pronunciation guide for like how that is, what label is supposed to be pronounced, so I am guessing, but I am... Okay. While the majority of asexual identities do not have a connection with past experiences, the main distinction of being cadesexual is outside influences such as trauma and PTSD. Arasexual is the non-exclusive form of cadesexual. I don't know what that, non-exclusive, what does that mean? The romantic counterpart of cadesexual is caderomantic. Cadesexual people are also able to use other labels to further describe their sexuality, with the same way asexual people would. For example, someone who is cadesexual could also identify as demisexual, as demisexual also falls under the asexual spectrum. So, in other words, it's complicated. So, arasexual, or sometimes spelled as aerosexual, is an aspec term where one's sexual attraction has partly or fully vanished. It may have to do with neurodivergence or trauma. Also, neuroasexual and cadesexual, it may be left for another or no reason. Somebody coined this arasexual thing in 2020, and then cadesexual, the flag was designed in 2015, it looks like. There's a couple of different there's like 3 different flag variants. I don't see where it says that this term was invented, so I don't know how old that term is. But hopefully that gives you some information on that one. I'm actually kind of curious about what is this neuroasexual? What is that about? Because I haven't heard that one before. Okay, here we go. There's a couple different ones. Neuroasexual is an aspec identity in which one feels sexual attraction or wants to participate in actions associated with sexual acts, but are scared of, repulsed by, or averse to them due to neurodivergency or trauma. So it's basically like, to me that kind of reminds me of, well, I don't know if I'd say it's hypoactive sexual desire disorder, but that feels a little bit like you want to be able to do things, but you can't because brains be like that. I'm not trying to minimize it, I just, like, it's a heavy topic. I'm very glad to have looked up cupiosexual for you. Okay, I'm gonna do my little kind of second half layer here. And I really like this. I feel like it can be a little bit heavy if I layer it up if I have like bad acne that day. But I feel like if I do like especially a thin layer of this with the primer, it looks very realistic. Like it's not, you can make it full coverage, but it's not like super full coverage either. You can still see I've got some like freckles coming. Just like show you all my skin like up close. You can see it looks very natural. It's mostly just meant to like, I don't want to look like a different person or not or like I have no texture. I just want to like kind of even things out a little bit. That's mostly what I want to do, is just even it all out. I don't know the people that are just like, they're always trying new foundations. Like if I find one foundation and primer combo that works, I stick with it. I do not change it. I'm like, this works. Primal play versus pet play. What's the difference? I will definitely be covering that one. Neurosexual. It looks like it's neuroasexual. Like it has the O and the A in there. And it just says it's a term for feeling sexual attraction or wanting to participate in sexual actions, but one is scared of, repulsed by, or averse to them due to being or related to being neuroatypical, neurodiverse, and or mentally ill. This one doesn't mention trauma, but the other definition did. So, make that what you will. If you find that useful or not, take it with you. If you don't worry about it. It's basically my opinion. All right. Let's get to maybe another question here, and then I'll start doing kind of some more face makeup stuff. This week on FetLife, someone asked that they add the rules alpha, beta, and omega for primal players. Okay, I have opinions about that for like primal play, because I think that they're like, that does work for some primal players, but not all of them, obviously. Like I wouldn't say that alpha, beta, or omega are like synonymous with primal play. I think there's overlap there, but it's not the same thing. But they've been adding a lot of new roles lately. They're just like, all right, who wants a new label? And then like, somebody says, I want doll maker to be a label, and they go, great, and then they make doll maker a thing. Like it's been pretty nice for people. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of concealer just on like one or two spots. And if anyone's like, oh, what do you do for your skin? What helped your skin get better? Getting a tretinoin prescription and spironolactone. Because hormonal acne, this is what I learned. And I'm going to talk about this in a video soon. So we're going to go into detail on that. But I tried everything. I feel like I'm pretty knowledgeable about like skincare and formulations and ingredients. Like I'm pretty scientifically literate. I can read studies about stuff, I generally understand how like chemistry works. Like I know quite a bit about like how skincare is supposed to function. But I was really annoyed because I went to an esthetician and I was trying to get help for my acne that got really bad over the last like year, from between like I would say September last year until like I would say it was worst probably in like January this year, and then I slowly got to healing it. And I went to this esthetician and they were like, oh yeah, it looks like it's hormonal acne, but they like didn't do anything that helped me at all. Like, they just kept selling me different products and treatments and like tell me it was going to help, and like, oh, I know this person who did this and they had hormonal acne and totally helped them. Didn't help me at all. Didn't help me at all. I got on the waiting list for a dermatologist, and it was literally like 4 months. It was so long to see a dermatologist. And I went and I saw a dermatologist, and then they were like, yes, it's hormonal acne. What are you doing? Oh, you have Nexplanon? Okay. Well, we're going to give you some hormone medication, and we're going to block all those androgens, and then your acne should probably go away. And you know what? It did. So instead of paying hundreds of dollars, probably, I shouldn't know if it was hundreds, I shouldn't exaggerate too much, it was probably like $200 worth of like skincare stuff, trying to clear hormonal acne, just go to the dermatologist, pay $5 a month for a spironolactone prescription if you have good insurance, and that is really what changed my skin. And then like hydration, SPF, the usual good stuff. But in terms of like clearing hormonal acne, like there's genuinely, I don't think, other than solving the underlying hormone issue or like regulating your hormones in some other way, like I don't think there's really a good way to like clear hormonal issues like with acne, just like topically with like benzoyl peroxide or azelaic acid or any of that usual stuff. I'm going to try this Ulta skin tint that I got because I really wanted to have some stain products. I'm a little bit worried how it might layer with, because I want to put it on my cheeks too. And I do want to order some of the like Korean lip and cheek stains because I feel like they have a really good reputation and they probably work better than this. But I got this one on sale at Ulta for like $5, so we're going for it. But yeah, acne is annoying. We need a Kinkopedia. You'd be surprised. There is like a BDSM wiki, but I don't know if it still is actually up anymore. I should check. Because I used to use it as a reference all the time. No, it's still up. There's oh god. Sorry, Paparino. I dropped something. Everything is fine. Okay. There is a www.bdsmwiki.info is what it is. And they don't have everything on there, but they have a lot of stuff. So that's like a good reference point. All right, so we're going to try this. And if it doesn't work, I'll just go over it with more foundation. I think I probably have to work pretty quickly with this, so we'll see. It doesn't really want to blend that much, but you know, that's fine. Oh, and the contour I was using is very broken. It is the Rituel de Feel Intuition Inner Glow Cream Pigment. You can now find this, I believe, at Ulta and possibly Sephora. And it's really good indie makeup. Love it. Good stuff. It's a great contour if you are pale like me and, you know, you want to do that. Friendly reminder that Spyro makes... Yes, it does. It does make you pee like a racehorse for anyone thinking of it. Worth it, but horrible side effect. I would say my experience of side effect, and again, this is only just me, I feel like that was most pronounced like the first week or two I took Spyro, and then after that, I got used to it, or I don't know if my body's got, like, I don't know what it is because I take it at night every night, but I just haven't noticed it be that big of a deal. I think timing when you drink water can also be a good idea, but yeah, it is a diuretic, so like you will pee a lot. So if you have a job where you can't like get up and take pee breaks a lot, think about that. But it's something definitely to think about, but I haven't really experienced any other side effects, so I consider that to be positive. I'm gonna layer just like a regular blush on top of here because I don't really like how that blended out. Oh, I didn't grab my highlighter. Oh, well, that's fine. We are going heavy on the blush today, ladies and germs. Remember everyone used to say ladies and germs? And that was like a funny joke in middle school. Like, oh, ladies and germs, LOL. Nobody says that anymore, though. Nobody... Listen, humor has been canceled. We can no longer say ladies and germs. No, I'm making... That's silly. Yeah, I feel like that basically covered up everything that I wanted to cover up. So, cool. All right, good starting point. All right, let's answer. Before I move on to, like... Okay, I gotta do eyebrows, and we gotta do lips and eyes. So now we're done with, like, complexion stuff. Let's answer some more questions while this all kind of, like... Oh, I should do my setting spray first. So I've been trying out a bunch of different setting sprays, and honestly, I cannot tell a difference between any of them. I got this sample of the... This is actually the first Charlotte Tilbury thing I've ever owned. It's the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. And I've used this a couple times. Haven't really noticed a big difference about anything with anything involving this. Before that, I tried a couple of the Urban Decay ones. But honestly, I just don't really know if they make a difference. But I feel like they might, and so it's, like, worth it. I think this works really well if you use a lot of powder products, and you're, like, if you have, like, powder foundation, powder blush, powder contour, powder bronzer, like, powder, having this kind of helps it all melt together. But I don't. I use cream everything, so, you know, maybe that's why it doesn't really work for me. It is smelly, though, and I don't like that. I think it's too, and, like, it's really wet. Like, I feel like this one's very wet when it goes on my skin. Which is, like, you're supposed to use a bit of it. But usually I end up, like, stamping it in on top of my foundation. Just to, like, you know, help it out. Kind of press it in a little bit. Don't know if this does anything, but I got it as a sample for $6 on Poshmark, so not really that big of a deal. Honestly, I love getting like mini things like this, like getting you can get like 3 for 15 or like 4 for 20 on Poshmark or like Depop or anything like that. Really good way to like try smaller sample things of makeup before you buy a big size from like Sephora or Ulta. Full of hot tips today. What can I say? Full of hot life tips. Uh hoeing. Going, I think probably going to my first play party ever tomorrow night, and hopefully doing my first ever suspension there. Ooh, fancy stuff. Any recs to properly prepare myself, both physically and emotionally. Nervous I will have bad drop. Okay, great stuff. Love the question. So, what I would recommend, especially if you want to do a suspension, definitely make sure you have a light snack. I would prepare for it the same way. If you ever played sports as a kid, you probably heard this, where, if you had like a big game on like a Thursday night, your parents would be told, oh, have like, a high carb meal the night before the game. Not the day of the game, but the night before. So like spaghetti dinner, like pasta, something like that. Just like, good whole grains. Don't just like slam back a bag of chips. Like, something that's going to have some nutrition to it, preferably. And, carbohydrates for longer term energy. That's why you want to do the carbohydrates. I would recommend definitely making sure that you are fully hydrated. That's really important, I think, especially for rope bondage. If you're not fully hydrated, I feel like it can make things like when your skin and like muscles are dehydrated, I feel like it can make it a worse experience. So always recommend that, especially because like when you're in the air and you just don't want to end up being really thirsty when you're up there, because it can be, it can get really overwhelming. And like it also might be really hot, it might be a sweaty venue. Just want to make sure that you're staying hydrated. Have a light snack before. I really love having like a protein bar or some kind of like protein focused snack. That could be like jerky, hard boiled eggs, nuts. It could be like a higher protein hummus. I love edamame hummus. That's a really good one. I love like a little crudité and edamame hummus. Great sort of lighter protein focused snack there. Anything like that could be like tofu. It's another really good one. If I'm kind of, I don't eat meat, so I'm kind of giving suggestions based on that. But just having some kind of like protein focused snack, I would say like 2 hours beforehand, and then like the morning of, because I'm assuming you're playing in the evening. It could be a daytime event, I guess, but I'm just assuming that it's in the evening. If you are playing in the daytime, don't follow this advice, but I'm assuming that you have like, you wake up at maybe 8 or 9 parties at 9 p.m. that night. So you have like 12 hours to work with. Have something in the morning, again, could be like if you don't really eat breakfast, you have lunch, like have a salad, something like that. Have something light, nutritious, it's going to give you energy. I also really recommend electrolytes. I talk about this in the video they did on both going to Kink Fest and like convention advice, and then also like my aftercare kit. I love electrolytes. Really, really, I think handy to have those. And I personally like the Ultima, whatever that brand name is. You get them on Amazon. You get them from, I think, Whole Foods stocks it, and I want to say Target does now too. Very easy to use. You can put it in a little water bottle like this. Just keep it with you. In terms of other prep, just like do what you do to like help yourself relax, right? So like for me, that would look like maybe like a hot bath in the morning, going on a walk with my dog, spending time doing like deep breathing exercises like outside in the yard, just like doing stuff that helps me like regulate and build up emotional resilience and like just be in a good place for the evening. And make sure you get enough sleep. Obviously, it's also a big one, right? Don't like go to the party on 4 hours of sleep. That's obviously not going to really end up well, but hopefully kind of sort of the broader guidelines will help you out there. And then as far as like, especially for suspension, I would say maybe the other thing is I would not recommend doing static stretches. Like, and those are, if you don't know what that means, a static stretch is like when usually people tell you to like bend over and touch your toes. That would be like a static stretch. You can, I would say, how would a yoga teacher say this? Invite light movement. I would invite light movement into your day before going into the scene. I want to say Shibari study somewhere else. Oh, what am I thinking of? I know there's somebody else who also does like that kind of like here's how to get ready for rope bondage, like type thing. But there's tutorials you can watch of like a mobility routine for getting ready for rope bondage. But like the problem people run into is they have flexibility without strength. And so when you're in a position where you have flexibility but not the strength in your muscles to support that flexibility at your end range of motion that you get into because of doing the suspension, right? Like if you're doing a back bend, like a lot of people have the flexibility to go into a really deep lower back bend, but they don't have the strength in the low back or in the upper back to really be able to support that, and so it causes issues. So if you don't have strength there, just like invite gentle movement to kind of like figure out where your issues are. Because honestly, to me, doing more light movement type stuff is like a way to kind of check your body and figure out like, oh, this shoulder is tight, or this knee feels funny, or my toe tingles here when I do this. And like kind of, it's more like a way for you to scan where your body is at, so you can communicate that to your top about like, hey, just so you know, today this is how my body is. And really, I recommend that for anyone, whether you're a beginner, first timer, anything. Recommend that you have some kind of bodily check-in where you go through your whole system, mentally, emotionally too, definitely, but then also like, how do my elbows feel? Like I'm kind of like double jointed in my elbows, so like I can like pop my elbows really easily. So usually I have to tell people that. Like you probably heard that one on the microphone, but like, you know, like how my shoulder's feeling, or if one's tighter than the other, so that way they can know and prepare and like maybe change what they're doing based on that, or like help you plan what would be most comfortable for you, especially as a beginner. And like that could look like just, again, there's tutorials for this online, you can look these up, but just look up like dynamic stretches or like mobility drills. There's actually one, there's a name for it. There's a thing you can do where it's about taking all of your joints through their whole range of motion, and like even your kneecaps and stuff. And that can be a good way of like, again, figuring out your movement and figuring out where your joints are, doing all of that. But I feel like that's like, you know, this could all really be summarized by like, eat good food, not too much of it, not too soon before you play, drink water, get enough sleep, relax beforehand, check in with your brain and body before you start playing, communicate that with the partner. And you are pretty much good. That would probably help you a lot with the drop. As far as preparing to deal with the drop and trying to hopefully have that not be an issue, I would say bring warm clothing. I really recommend, especially if you haven't done suspension before. You can get really cold as you come down because your parasympathetic nervous system is taking over from your sympathetic nervous system. So you tend to have like a change in like where your blood is going in your body, and it can make you feel really cold when you're in that state. So like just be prepared when you're getting into that resting phase. After the scene is done, you can get cold, so bring a blanket, bring socks. I really recommend people like wear socks, like thigh-high socks I think look good on anyone, any gender. So wear thigh-high socks, or wear like fuzzy socks, or like something that's comfortable. You don't have to, but like I think it's a good idea because like people tend to like lose heat through their feet, and like wearing a hat isn't really practical during suspension normally, but like you could also wear a hood, I guess. But actually, I wouldn't recommend that because you don't want to have anything that would impede communication and like your top's ability to read your facial expressions. So I probably actually wouldn't have anything on your face or on your head. So bring stuff that's warm, bring layers for changing into comfortable clothing. Because if you're like me and you like wearing a really fancy outfit to go to a party, I always recommend bringing like either layers that you can kind of strip down to just the basics of, or like bringing something that's comfortable to where it's like easy to get into, like a onesie or a bodysuit or pajamas or sweatpants, something you can wear as easy, comfortable, and isn't going to feel too restrictive, but can also help keep you warm. But also you can like dress it up or dress it down in terms of like the warmth level. Then bringing water, bringing a snack, and having a communication plan in place with your top for like after the scene is done, and then like making sure you're set up to have like nice, restful, relaxing sleep once you get home. So there you go. That's my advice. Hopefully it helped. I feel like I am kind of a freak though, because I don't generally need a lot of aftercare for rope bondage. Like I just kind of go, all right, let's do it again. Like I don't really get dropped from rope bondage at all. I don't know what that means about me as a person, because I always get like, if I get dropped, it's usually from impact play. Like I don't get dropped from like basically anything else, but I usually get it from impact play. I would say a hood could be negotiated. I would just say, as a beginner, I wouldn't recommend it. Because I just don't really, I could tell you, yes, it's fine, because it is. It is your choice ultimately, but my recommendation as a trusted source of information of many years of experience now, I would not recommend doing that because I think for how much it adds to the scene, it could wait until you make sure that you feel really comfortable communicating with the partner you're playing with. And I just don't want to put anything between you and your ability to communicate as clearly as possible. Plus, you know, bondage by itself was already a really, really vulnerable place. And if you haven't done suspension before, you might not fully know yet how you're going to react. And so I just, like, if you start panicking and, like, your eyes freak out, like, I wouldn't want to, like, again, block that from being something that your dom or your top can see. Love that I get to watch this while packing for the queer dungeon party this weekend. That sounds amazing. I love that. Okay, that's a really good question. Love that. Thank you so much for that. What do I want to do next? Eyebrows. Let's do eyebrows, like eye stuff. Okay, so I do actually have microbladed eyebrows. I am in the process of actually fading them, and I'm gonna get them redone by a new artist here in Portland because the old artist I had, I originally really liked my eyebrows, and then she like skipped town and never got back to me, and I never got a touch-up done, and so my eyebrows are always like really patchy, and it really bothered me. And now I'm paying to go to an actual really nice place and not just some random lady that has good Instagram pictures. I fell for the gram, and this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Ebony Eyebrow. I don't know what this is called. It's one of their eyebrow products. It's not. Do people still use the dip brow? Do people still use that? I feel like people are over that now. Honestly, I'm terrified at the idea that like really, really sparse 90s brows are going to be back. I don't think we're going to go there. That's like the one thing from the 90s fashion-wise that I'm like, we could leave that. That and like denim everything. Like light wash denim everything. Honestly, my popular opinion is I really don't like the look of wearing like dad sneakers with everything. And dad sneakers with light wash denim. You know how hard it's been to find not just black, but like dark wash denim? It's been impossible. It's been so hard. So many first world problems. But I did get some cute new jeans like a couple months ago that I'm excited to wear. There's one eyebrow done. And I just like this because I feel like it looks really natural, and like I'm not really putting that much in my eyebrows. I mostly just like kind of making it even in the front and then like bringing the color through the rest of it. I'm not, not really doing anything. Like I'm not like drawing a new eyebrow on top of my eyebrows. I'm just like refining the eyebrow. Can you see the difference? Does that make sense? The people in my community don't seem to need much aftercare for rope, and that is not me. LOL. After a class, I want cuddles, a burger, and sleep. Listen, you know yourself best. Like, I'm there with you for most other things. Like, for impact play, I'm like, I wouldn't say I want a burger. I usually, like, if I want something fast foody, it's usually french fries. But I'm more of like an ice cream, like something cold and soft. Is that an innuendo? Did I make an innuendo by accident? I didn't mean to. I don't know what cold and soft would be exactly, but just in case it's accidentally an innuendo, I'm making a disclaimer that I'm not doing it on purpose. Oh no, little eyebrow bit right there. I always need sleep. I really prefer to take a shower when I go home, or take a bath, usually a shower. I feel like a shower is just very cleansing. I'm also like a big water baby. I'm big into water, and so anything involving water just feels very recentering to me. So my routine, especially after like a big dungeon night, is like shower, like usually snack first, quick snack, shower, more snack, depending on how much snack I had before the shower, and then bedtime. Snuggle with my dog, that's the big one, honestly. Bandit is aftercare for life, okay? She is aftercare for life, for everything, just my existence in general. She is like a magnet for the old ladies in this neighborhood, actually. I've been taking her on more walks because I've been told that's good for my health, and also I like it's been like sort of warm but not hot. It's been like in the 80s, which is perfect weather for going on a walk. So we've been going on walks, and every time I go on a walk, I swear I meet a new old lady that's like, "Oh my gosh, is that a Pomeranian?" And I go, "Yeah." And then they're like, "I had 9 Pomeranians. This is my Pomeranian. You want to meet my Pomeranian?" And then they'll run in their house and they'll go get their Pomeranian, and then they'll show me their Pomeranian. Be like, "This is my last Pomeranian. His name is Riki Tiki Tavi, and he's 40 years old." Not literally, but like they're always just like the sweetest. They're always like the ladies are always like Barbara and like Carol Ann and Karen, and like they're always very nice ladies, and they're brought together by their love of Pomeranians. And like all of them, everyone I've talked to, they all have like a bunch of ancient Pomeranians, or they're like they had at some point like a dozen Pomeranians, and they're always so excited about meeting Bandit. Like, "Oh, she's such a cute girl." And it's funny. She's just such a blessing on this earth. Unpopular opinion, I prefer onion rings to fries, even if they delay me ordering the love of my life by one day. It's worth it. I just feel like onion rings are very hit or miss. Like, good onion rings are good, but bad onion rings are bad. In my opinion, at least. But I feel like they're just not very popular. Like, as a thing, like, most restaurants don't really, like, usually it's tater tots or French fries. Like, it goes like French fries, tater tots, onion rings, you know? Are air fryers worth it? I feel like I've heard people say that they're a waste, and other people say that they're like the best thing ever. I feel like dominantly most people will say that they're the best thing ever, though. I freaking love onion rings. I agree that they're so much better than fries. Okay, do kinky people like onion rings? Is that like a thing? Is that like kinky people? That would be one of the most random correlations, wouldn't it? It'd be like kinky people are more likely to enjoy onion rings than the average member of the population. Like, wouldn't that be so funny if that was true? I would laugh my butt off. I really appreciated your comments to my question a couple weeks ago. I've taken on a lot more service-oriented chores to help my daddy since he's working so much. Well, you are so welcome, Cully. I am glad I could help. We watched that one when the Mister and I kind of binged your channel a year ago. Oh, the old High Protocol one. I liked E.T. References the movie Airplane when he picks up the phone and says "phone home," and the operator says, "That would be some $1 million for the first 3 minutes." Oh, no, the E.T. is E.T. is being referenced in the movie Airplane, not the other way around. Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's been a while since I've seen Airplane. Okay, I think I answered the question about having them drop. I think we got to that one. Talked about the gore subculture. Oh, okay. I saw somebody with a question emoji. So we established last time, just as like a thing, if you want to just make sure your question is highlighted as being a question, you can put like the question mark emoji in your chat message, and that should like make it just show up better for me. Because sometimes I scroll through and I miss something, and it highlights it. Do you ever have a problem with fans/IRL people finding your FET life or treating it weird? I get worried when I find someone local on FET that if I interact it'll be wrong. I have not had too many people. I occasionally get people that like message me on FetLife that are like, "Oh my god, love your channel," but it's never been more than that. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. I think sometimes, like, because I have all my photos and everything set to private, there's not really a lot for people to interact with on my FetLife if they're not already friends with me. And so, like, you know, people, other than maybe my profile photo, but for the most part, I think all the comments I've gotten or DMs I've gotten from people on FetLife that know me from YouTube that find me are just, like, very polite. So I haven't had to worry about that one too much, thankfully. Okay, I'm going to do some eyeshadow. I got this one for Christmas, actually. It's the Tartelette. What is the... I think it's just the Tartelette palette. I thought this had another, like, a more specific name. But I just, like, this is, like, a really good travel eyeshadow palette. And it's not... You can get these, like, used really easily. You can get them, like, secondhand. You get them, like, they're on sale at Ulta all the time. Because I had a Viseart palette that I really liked, but, like, honestly, it was 6 years old, and it was, like, $80, and I didn't really want to pay $80 for a nude eyeshadow palette again, so I didn't repurchase it, even though it had probably, like, gone off. But I'm just going through and using like just a very light nude color. I'm trying to remember what color I used the other day when I did I filmed. I think I used this palette. It was either this palette or it was another like random neutral from something else, but I'm just kind of like setting down a base layer for eyeshadow. To be honest, the Gorean novels are pretty intense. There's over 40 books. Okay, that sounds a little bit excessive. That does sound excessive to me. Right, this water bottle has melted enough, so I put this in like freezer, and I always end up with like a giant like frozen drippy mess, but I just keep doing it because I can't resist a bad idea, I guess. I think of primal play as mostly getting in touch with your animalistic side. I could be predator / prey, but it could also be getting more instinctual and fierceness. I love it. Fierceness. All the Gorean tales are now an audiobook. Very well done. Okay, good. Audiobook is good. The Tarnsmen of Gore, the first novel in the Gore series by John Norman, was published in 1966. Okay, so I was a little bit off. I think I said early 70s or late 60s. So I stand corrected, but I feel like I was roughly in the ballpark. So I will count that as being close enough for the sake of not knowing. I know very little about it. Only like what I've kind of read by accident, mostly. Do my eyebrows look even? Never playing the game show where we play, do my eyebrows look like they're even part of the same family? I don't try to have them look like twins or sisters. I just want them to be related. I want them to be able to go get their DNA tested and be like second cousins at least. That's all I want. Had a tornado in Montreal? I had no idea you even got tornadoes there. That's wild. That sounds like that shouldn't be a thing. So my Florida swamp people. It's night and 90 degrees and 80% humidity right now. Yeah, I didn't get somebody who told me they were from Plant City yet. Normally they come in. Fucking 80% humidity, Jesus. I never noticed humidity when I was a child because I just grew up in it and I was just like, this is just how air is. But now I can kind of tell a little bit, but I feel like I'm kind of blind to humidity. I'm not really like, I feel like I felt it a little bit when I was in New Orleans because it gets real humid in New Orleans, but not as maybe readily as other people do. Just blind to that for some reason. It's like being in soup in the water in Florida. Okay. Kushiel's dart was kind of my introduction to masochism. Oh, good point. I don't know how common that is, but I think it probably has been for more than one person. We had an argument with someone from the U.S. about the weather and how us Europeans couldn't handle the U.S. weather. We'll be having 95 degrees and 8% humidity. I know people kind of do that with people from the U.K. People in the U.K. are like, oh my God, it's 80 degrees. It's so hot outside. Like when I was there a couple years ago. It was like 20 outside, like centigrade. It was like there was a low, and then how was the high? It was like, I don't think it was over 30. It was like probably 20 to 30 degrees Celsius. Because I'm thinking, I remember watching the BBC and like seeing the weather report on the screen. So I'm kind of going off of that. But it wasn't over 90. And like everyone was like freaking out about it. And I thought it was great. Like even, I would say, the one thing, especially if you're like in Central or Southern Europe, a lot of places very proudly do not have air conditioning. They just will they don't need air conditioning. They don't want air conditioning. They don't want to even know what air conditioning is. And I think that makes it really rough. But I think the main difference is that like the way that homes are constructed is very different. So if you're from like Hawaii or Florida or Arizona or like Southern California, for the most part, your house is probably made with like tile or concrete floors or something like that, where it's like a cool, solid floor that doesn't really hold in heat the same way that like carpet does. Whereas if you're from like the UK or like the northern US, like and everything in your house is carpet except for the bathrooms and the kitchen maybe, it's very difficult to adjust to heat the same way when you don't have like overhead fans in the rooms, you don't have tile, you don't have AC in any of the buildings that you can go to because they just don't believe in AC. Like the homes are not designed well for either. But it's also funny because in the UK, they also can't handle the cold because nothing is fucking insulated properly. And everyone uses like, I don't know, I'm not gonna like get into that too much, but it's just like, it is a thing that people make fun of. When my friend's Swedish cousins visited Texas in the summer, they got heat exhaustion. I mean, I feel like that could happen to anybody though, it's Texas. Gotta be careful out there. Yeah, I mean, like, AC, like, it really does. Like, it does save people's lives. Like, I'm sure people, especially elderly people or vulnerable people of any kind, like, sun doesn't give a shit whether or not you're too proud to use AC. All right, I'm gonna, like, swatch some stuff on my hands and kind of see what color I want to do from this palette for my eye color. They kind of all end up being, I think I want to do this Wanderer color, which is sort of like a, like, sort of a mid-tone, kind of warmish brown. Okay. Probably blend another color in there. I don't know what I'm doing, honestly. Because I don't want to... This is like my first date technique. I want to, like... I don't... Though I really wouldn't date somebody that was, like... had this attitude completely. But I generally don't want somebody to be like, you catfished me because you wore so much makeup on our first date. Or like somebody complaining that they can't really like, I feel like I run into a lot of guys that even if they're like feminist and like well-meaning, they're still kind of like, I just like girls that look natural. I just want to see what a girl really looks like without makeup. And so it's like I try to do kind of like not neon green eyeshadow with black lipstick. I try to be like, here's my face. Here's what I look like. You know, if I'm not wearing makeup, I basically look like more or less the same, but like less, you know, put together looking. But actually the person I'm going on a date with tonight, already sent them a photo of just like my bare unmakeuped face. So they already know what my bare face looks like. So that's not really too much of it. But honestly, like, you're going on a date and like we are going to the waterfront. We're going to be probably walking around the beach maybe. I don't know. We had like 4 different plans for what we were going to do. So it's very funny. There's been Twitter discourse about ice cream dates. And I kid you not, the day that happened, they were like, do you want to go out for ice cream? And I was like, you're not on Twitter. How do you, like, what is this? They were like, you want to like go get ice cream and then like go to the beach? I was like, sure, let's do that. And then it turned into like a different plan and they had to cancel. And then it was like, what to do? I think the current plan is to do a picnic date. That's what we're doing. We're doing a picnic date. But people are like, oh, if you're like a mature adult, you would never do a picnic date or you would never do ice cream. Because I was like, if you guys aren't on Twitter, you don't know about this. Like, there was somebody, and I feel like this was probably rage baiting. I don't know if a serious human being could have this opinion. But they were basically saying, oh, you can't... I wish I was a commentary YouTuber so I could just make videos ranting about all the dumb shit I see on the internet. But it could be a second channel idea, I guess, maybe. Just be so much work. I'm trying so hard. Because you don't know how... I'm trying so hard to get ahead on videos right now. I am editing videos every single day of the week. I am writing videos every single day of the week. I'm filming like 2 times a week. It's kind of not great for me. I'm getting like 6 hours of sleep right now at the very most, and it's probably not great for my mental health long term, but we're dealing with it. I'm gonna do... That might be... I'm gonna try like 2 more colors. I'm just gonna see how this turns out. Because I want it to be... I want it to have some depth. I want it to have a little depth in there. But basically, the people on Twitter were like, if you're over 30... asking somebody out on an ice cream date is low effort, and I don't want to date low effort people. It was basically it. And I was like, it's not low effort. You know how many people I get like 1 message deep on like OkCupid or Field or whatever, and they're like, do you want to go get a drink sometime? Do you want to like meet up somewhere? And I'm like, I don't want to do, like, I don't know you. I don't trust you. I don't know. Like, you could be a catfish. You could be a bot. I don't like, you could be, I don't know, right? So I always, that kind of weirds me out a little bit when people like ask me out on a date right away. But every once in a while, I talk to somebody. I'm kind of like, it used to be for a while there, I would like talk to somebody for a long, long time before actually like deciding to meet them in person. And now I don't do that anymore. I'm trying to like, I try to meet somebody within like a couple weeks of talking to them, within like ideally 1 to 3 weeks, just to like make sure that we're actually compatible and that like they're not like, You know, they don't got any secret junk in the trunk that I can't tell, you know, from a text message. So I'm trying to do that. I think it's working out pretty well. But I used to like talk to people for like, sometimes I'd like during the pandemic I talked to like one person for over a year before we actually met up in person, and then it didn't end well at all. So I learned that lesson. I was like, all right, there's a happy medium between like one message in and then like getting drinks with a stranger that I don't even know if we're actually compatible or not, and then like establishing compatibility over text or over messages or whatever, and then deciding to go out. And that's kind of where I'm at. This is like a little bit warmer than I wanted it to be, but we're doing the latte makeup trend, guys. That's what we're doing currently. From the Tiki Talks, the Riki Tiki Tabby Talks. Ice cream dates for a first one sounds like a phenomenal idea. I would love it, honestly. I was like excited about that. I was like, ooh, there's like a really good vegan ice cream place. There's like a couple of them. We can go there. Like, I was excited about it, but ended up not working out because a lot of ice cream places are not open very late on Fridays for some reason. Like, mostly they're all closed by like 8:30, 9 o'clock. And I was like, that's not really late enough. Screw that. I'm almost 30 and I've never been on an ice cream date. I think it would be fun. I mean, I think people just get like, it's boring to go on. This isn't to say that they're bad, but like if you're poly and you go on like first dates a lot, not that all poly people do, but like, you know, maybe there's like two categories of people that go on a lot of first dates, and it's people that don't have a partner yet that really, really want one, and people that are polyamorous and go on first dates all the time because they're not polysaturated yet. I'm not really like talking through anything that I'm doing for eyeshadow, but I feel like it's fairly self-explanatory. It's just blending stuff into the crease, and then now I'm doing a little bit kind of under my eye just to kind of bring everything together. And I feel like this is pretty much, I'm not very creative when it comes to like how I do my makeup. Like I do some kind of variation of like darker in the outer corner and in the crease, and lighter in sort of the midpoint to the inner corner of my eye, and like different colors and layers of colors and shimmer, and that's like pretty much what I do. So you get basically the same look from me no matter what we're doing. For me, it's the same as a coffee date. It's simple and easy and very one-on-one, no distractions. Yeah, I really like a coffee date for a first date. I actually prefer coffee or like going for a walk or something in like a park over or getting dinner. I feel like a dinner is kind of like a high investment, which is funny because I feel like the alpha male logic is like women just want to drain you of all your money and they're just using you, they're withholding sex and using you for free food to steal your resources because they're hypergamous. And it's like, I don't even want to go out for dinner. Like, I have food at home. I meal prep. Like, I have a salad in the fridge, excuse me. I need to go on a date to get food. I have salad. Like, I would rather, like, I just feel like my ideal situation is like an afternoon coffee date. You know, something where it's kind of like low key, chill, middle of the day. Like, just you can spend a while doing it. You don't have to rush. That's really the vibe. But I do like getting glammed up for like a good dinner date. I just feel like for a first date it's a little bit too much. I feel like a dinner date is like a good third date. Which I realize is weird, but honestly I feel like kind of the dinner date thing, I just feel like people are way more likely to be like, I took you out for dinner and now you have to touch my penis. And it's like, I don't want to touch your penis. I don't want to touch it. Leave me alone. Okay, where can I put this where I can see my eyeliner, actually? Dinner date should be second dates IMO. I feel like that's true. Like second or third date. I think if you want to do the third date, be like, I'm going to go over to your place. That's fine. I'm talking for me. I think dinner date is like a good second and third date. Or like going to a concert or going to see live music of some kind. It's not a concert, but is like, you know, a band outside somewhere. I feel like that's good. All right. I loathe dinner dates. I saved that one for established partners or like fourth dates. Yeah, exactly. McDonald's at home. I know, it's like, I like I don't know. I just feel like finding a good dinner place is hard. Also, what if the artisan ice cream, and they make it in front of you, you get to eat a little food sculpture? That's high effort, true. Third date is adopting a cat. I mean, on a certain timeline, yes. To be fair, there are women that go on Tinder just to get free food as much as possible. Yep, that happens to people. Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying that like it doesn't happen. I'm just saying that like when people say it as a universal statement that all women are doing this to get this, it's like, I don't. I have a salad at home. I have a dog I really like to cuddle. This is optional for me. Like, and I don't say that to be like, you know, mean or like contrarian or anything. I'm just like, that's the facts. Like, I don't need to do, like, I'm doing this because I want to meet people, not because I need resources for something. Unless it's an expensive meal at a fancy restaurant, going on a date costs more money than a meal. Yeah. It's just like actually getting ready, especially if I'm getting ready for like a fancy date, like if I got my nails done, if I went out and got my hair cut for it, if I got my face threaded, you know, if I any of the other prep stuff I could do to get ready for like a fancy date, or like got my teeth whitened, I don't know, like you do all kinds of things to get ready for a date. Like, you know, but it sucks because like a lot of the places around here are very expensive. Like it's like $25 for a cocktail. It's like, I don't even like drinking these. I'll just have like orange juice and coconut milk. Thank you very much. First date, coffee, dinner, and a walk. Second is renting a U-Haul. They're just adopting a cat. I mean, at least you did it in the right order. You didn't get the cat before the U-Haul. I do feel like the timeline for dating women is different than dating the men's though. And then sometimes you date a non-binary person and then all the standards are thrown out the window. And then you get a U-Haul on the first date, and then you adopt a cat for the third date and do dinner on the second. I don't know. I think I need to get a new eyeliner pen. This one has been a little bit more draggy recently. I'm just gonna leave that how it is. Listen, I know that right now the trend is to do powder, eyeshadow, winged liner. You will claw my liquid eyeliner out of my cold, dead hands. I've done the powder brow. I've done the powder brow. I have tried that before, I think. Powder, eyeshadow. I've tried like the pencil, all that stuff, and I don't like any of it. That was like what I wore in like middle school. I'm not going back, okay? You mean you don't want to eat spaghetti nicely and neatly in front of a handsome man as a first date? Wait, what? No, not spaghetti is quite romantic. Ever watch Lady and the Tramp? True. I don't like Italian food though. I don't really like pasta. It's probably controversial. I do like ravioli. And I like homemade macaroni and cheese. But I don't like pasta at restaurants usually. I just feel like it's like I could have had this at home. It's so judgmental. Like I should have really, really nice, like fancy Italian pasta places. And I know there are ones like in this city I could go to. I'm like, just not that excited about it. I do, however, like a good warm focaccia and olive oil and balsamic vinegar though. I will get down for that. If I can dip something in olive oil and vinegar, I'm there. That I will do. Pasta and olive oil and vinegar? Definitely. I'm up on the latest trends of 1958. Listen, they had trends back then. They had all kinds of trends. I actually really love it. I don't know if you guys can hear it. They're technically an invasive species, but there are, what are they called? They're like ringneck doves, I think. Yeah, there's ringed neck doves, that are also known as the Cape turtle dove or the half-collared dove, and they are, I don't know what their native range is exactly. I want to say they might be from like Africa and the Mediterranean, but there's like a mating pair that like moved into the area around here, and every once in a while I hear them, and they remind me of my childhood because my Florida people will also know this. The Eurasian collared dove is also definitely a thing in Florida, and when I was growing up in Florida in the early 2000s and then in the late 90s, they were basically only in Florida and in like Georgia, and then they've basically moved everywhere now. They're all over the place, and it's funny to like track where they ended up. I did not ever think that they were going to end up here, and alas, they're now in Oregon. And I know that they're not mourning doves because they have the very distinct black marking on the back of their necks, but they make very pretty noises. It reminds me of my childhood, so it's kind of nostalgic. I wrote Pokemon, Kingdom Hearts, and Harry Potter fanfic. Yep. The longest runners, marathon runners especially, are short and thin. I guess you have to develop your lungs. I did do lots of swimming as a kid, actually. I just have really terrible lung capacity because I was born premature and my lungs were underdeveloped and all my muscles were underdeveloped. And, like, I have a really short torso. I just feel like there's not really a lot of room between my diaphragm and my organs. Although, I did recently have a physical therapist tell me this, and I didn't know if this is, like, I couldn't Google this. I couldn't find out how true this was or not. But I did find a, like, she basically told me, she measured the, like, the spread of my diaphragm, and my diaphragm only spreads 51 degrees. Also, sorry, I'm going to be out of focus for a second, but there's literally nowhere else I can put my my mirror and just, like, appreciate the thumbprints, I guess. She told me that my diaphragm is 51 degrees, and, like, the average / ideal is a 90, so my diaphragm is very narrow. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what I did. I didn't do it on purpose. So I'm trying to do more deep breathing exercises and, like, fix my breathing habits. Because I've been going to a pelvic floor. Actually, I had one session so far. I started seeing a pelvic floor therapist because I've been having residual, like, intermittent to ongoing pain after having pelvic inflammatory disease. And the doctor was basically like, yeah, the only person who can really help you or do anything for you is, like, a pelvic floor therapist. So you gotta go see them. So I did. And thank God they are covered by my insurance, because I don't want to know how expensive that would be if I had to pay for it out of pocket. I'm actually kind of surprised. I was like, oh, pelvic floor therapy? That's like a woman's health thing? There's no way insurance is going to cover this. Because a lot of people mostly do it for, like, childbirth and, like, childbirth-related injuries, but it definitely does not have to be for that. Okay, is my eyeliner in any way approaching the horizon of being even? No. I don't know why. Okay, wait. Let me fix this. It's like a whole process. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna call that good for my eyeliner. Alright, I'm going to let this sit for a little bit, and then I'm gonna curl my lashes and do mascara. I'm gonna do mascara, darling. Okay, let's answer some questions. Let's do it. Speed round. I am very glad. I had to be in a wait list for, when did I go on the wait list? I was on the wait list for like a month and a half, so it took a while to get in to see somebody, but I like her a lot. I think she's going to be really helpful. And I'm actually nervous because we're doing the actual like pelvic exam next time. I know, TMI, but I mean, like, I'm going to talk about this probably at some point in the video because I feel like it's a women's health issue. Women's health. Like, it's categorized as women's health, but like, anybody has a vagina. Or honestly, like pelvic floor stuff, it can affect if you have bowel issues or bladder issues too. Also, sort of fall into this purview, but it's most commonly done for like, I think it's mostly associated with like, again, childbirth related injuries. Yeah, it took a while to get in. Yeah, it is very. I know a lot of it is also for vestibulodina. Vestibulodina. I think that's how you pronounce it. I literally had a partner tell me I should have more friends on the spectrum before I even told her I was autistic. That was my cue. I mean, as like attracts like, I suppose. I need to see a pelvic floor specialist. I've been too anxious to do it. I mean, like, what helped me do it is I tried to call and talk to them, which most places don't, they're not used to that, but I tried to get into one that they were okay doing a phone consultation first, and then she talked to me about what she's going to do, what her treatment plans are like how long you could expect treatment to last, if she felt confident that she could help my issues, and specifically the person that I see is also like a trauma informed and like trauma trained specialist, so she like is specifically trained to deal with like medical trauma and people that have trauma associated with pain. And so I didn't really need that because I don't have like, you know, lingering medical trauma from anything, but I feel like having that just be part of the training was like a really nice thing to know.
Rosie Rosette donated $5. I just made a new Dom friend, and I've been trying to convince them to make a FetLife account, but they are concerned about being harassed. Would it be odd for me, a sub, to list myself as their protector?
It would not be odd to list yourself as their protector. I think some people might make assumptions, but that's kind of just on them for making assumptions. That's their problem. I would say I would just reassure them that like just having an account by itself is probably not really going to get you harassed. Like, I think for the most part, DOMs kind of just get ignored. Now, if you get into like contentious arguments in like in the comment section of a photo or in a group or in a popular writing, yeah, you might get some people that act annoying, but I wouldn't say that like just making an account is really going to lead to harassment. It really depends on what kind of interaction you do on the website. Yep, the post-COVID specialist doctor backlogs are no joke. Just be patient as possible. Yes, and luckily, like, I could afford to wait. Like, I'm not in like debilitating pain every day. Like, it's very manageable. It's just that like I don't really, and I'll know kind of during the next appointment when she actually does like the full pelvic exam. Like, I don't know if I'm dealing with like scar tissue or like vaginal adhesions or like I don't know what's going on exactly. And so like even just having an answer to that would be really helpful because like no one else could really help me with that. So yeah, just being patient and then like I'll see how much it actually works. Even just like, again, having an answer for like what's going on and like what's there would be really, really nice. Everyone, honestly, like if you have any kind of issues regarding anything, like anything lower than your stomach, pelvic floor therapy, because it's all interconnected. Like the whole system's really interconnected, like from your posture, your breathing, your diaphragm, all of that, and everything has pressure and everything else. So like your rectum and your cervix and your bladder and everything else that all presses on each other and all the different layers of the pelvic floor muscles. Like there can be so much going on in there that like you can think it's just like a routine normal thing and then you discover it's like a muscle imbalance or like vaginal adhesions or like a bunch of stuff. So and also I just you know, again, my impression from like a first thing is I felt like she really, really cared about what she was doing and like she wanted to make sure that I was comfortable but was also like really knowledgeable and friendly. So I just felt really good. And she also had lots of really good Google reviews. Okay, I'm just like curling my eyelashes like it's 1985. I stopped curling my lashes for a long time because I accidentally fell over once while I was holding an eyelash curler in my eyelashes, and then it ripped out half my eyelashes on one eye. And that was not a fun time. So I try to always be real stable when I'm doing it. And, you know, just pray about my lashes the whole time. They're concerned because they are trans, so they're worried about people being grossly sexual to them, because that is a thing. Okay, I cannot speak to like the trans experience of FetLife because I am not that. I would say if you are a woman of any kind, if you are trans, if you're cis, if you're a femme non-binary person, if you have pictures of women on your account anywhere, even if you are actually a man, you are more likely to experience harassment on FetLife because women on the internet are not allowed to exist in peace. But you can, and I talk about this in my FetLife video on like a guide to using FetLife. There are so many privacy settings that you can use if you just want to use FetLife as a way to like find events and message people you already know, and that's it. You don't want to do anything else. You can set everything to private. You can do like outside of your profile picture and your actual profile itself, like the text in your profile, you can make everything basically set to private or just not include it. So I think that there are ways to mitigate that, but it is unfortunate because if you're like really visible, people can be creepy. That is a thing. I really like this mascara. I have a Pacifica mascara. I kind of alternate between the two. I just feel like this one does really good on the volumizing portion of the mascara experience. This one is the Lash Paradise mascara. I think it's from L'Oreal. And it works really well. Just, again, something I don't really experiment a lot with is I'm not like, oh, I have a different mascara for my bottom lashes and my top lashes, and I layer my mascaras. Like, I don't really care about my lashes being longer because they're already so long that after I curl them, if the mascara is too lengthening, it ends up like getting mascara all over my eyelid because I get like dots of mascara on the top of my eyelid. I'm going to move this closer again. I think that looks pretty good actually. I really love kind of the lighter foundation look. I think it looks really nice. Sorry. I'm gonna like put, you guys can kind of see how everything's coming together. Don't know what I'm gonna do for my lip situation today because I don't think I have a good lip color to match this. Figure it out. We'll figure it out. You don't need to have your profile picture be an actual picture of you. Yes. And explain why the profile that could help avoid the hug girl mustache. Yes. You can have a picture of like your toy collection or a vlogger or whatever. I do not recommend getting random internet pictures. Like I do not recommend getting a copyrighted picture of a lion or a meme or a black and white photo of a random man with a suit or a woman in lingerie for that matter, because I feel like that comes across like fake profile. So, you know, have it be a photo of your own stuff that isn't from Google Images, but you don't have it be like personally just you for like your public facing pictures. Absolutely. All right, let's get to maybe another question. Watched your video about DIY hardware store Impact Toys. Just looking at that, won't Ron bruised my butt. Is there a go-to DIY flogger, or is that really an option with those? I would say, I don't know how to do the handle because I've never made one, but I would say rope is like a pretty popular homemade flogger. Like, it could be like a natural fiber rope, like it could be like a jute or a hemp, or it could be like an MFP or like a nylon. And that can make a really good flogger. Like, especially you can like knot the ends, you can do different things to kind of make it fancy. And I've also seen people do this both with, especially like non-natural fiber rope, like with, again, MFP or nylon, something like that. And then also doing this with like yarn, I think too. You can like uncurl the whole rope and just have it be like the individual like strands basically, and that's like a really really good, nice, like can be kind of thuddy warm up flogger, depending on how much material you have in it. And then like I know there's DIY like tutorials for how to do this, because you can like, if you put enough of it together, you can basically just like tape, like electrical tape or whatever, like around kind of the bundle of all of the rope or whatever it is, and then like have that be kind of a DIY handle. But I would say that's like the most common thing for a flogger for DIY. I've also seen people do stuff with like upcycled belts, but I feel like that is a little bit more involved and complicated. And also old leather belts, they can be like softer. They're tend to be like pretty heavy, like a thick weight of leather, and so it tends to be like a heavier impact plate device. But that's mostly what I've seen. And I think it's also like a good vegan option too. If you don't want to have, leather, you can also do rope or yarn, especially if it's like, again, non-natural fiber yarn. Ice water, so good. Perfection, so good. I honestly love all of the like Pacha memes from the Emperor's New Groove. It's a good one. I created my icon after I got outed from someone. A FetLife at a funeral. I'm not sure how much worse that could be, other than like a job interview or a PTA meeting. Or like during a best man speech at a wedding. Like, that's up there. That's a little ridiculous. Like, not that I'm not saying I don't believe you. I'm just saying, like, a person doing that, like, why would you do that? Why? What? I don't get it. How would you define primal play, or what would you consider primal play? I've seen so many different definitions and can't seem to fully grasp it. Thanks and love your content. So my definition is going to be fairly complicated. I think I'm first going to give examples of the definitions that I don't think quite match what I think, because I feel like a lot of definitions are very circular. They end up being like, being primal is about connecting with your inner animal and letting your primal brain take over. And it's like, what does that mean exactly? Like, it kind of, you said some words and I could recognize that as being a sentence, but that's still, like, doesn't really help. It's still like, it's not very, you don't really get a lot out of it, It's motorcycle and woodworking time, apparently, in the neighborhood. This is why it feels daunting to me. Oh, what do you think are the biggest misconceptions of primal play? I will just list them really quickly. Where's the list? Here we go. That primal play means losing control of yourself or having no rules or boundaries. That primal play is always animalistic. That primal play is all about rough body play in wrestling. That primal play is purely physical. It doesn't involve romance. That primal play is always like low protocol, or you can't do it in a DS relationship. It doesn't have a place with like high protocol or rules or a structure. It's just for scenes. And I think the other thing, this is like something that people who are into primal play that like identify with it as a label will say, but they will talk about it like being primal is who you are every day, and it's how you interact with the whole world, and like basically kind of implying that it's okay that they're rude to other people because they've dropped the normal social mores of society, and they don't have to listen, they don't have to follow social niceties. And it's like, oh, you're just saying that you act like an asshole in public and it's fine because that's your identity. Like, that's what you're telling me right now. And it's like, you don't get to bark in public or or, you know, sniff somebody's butt because you're into primal play. Like, let's not justify anything unnecessarily here. I would say those are probably like, oh, I see. The other thing is like, if the primal play is always about like rough, like I think I said this, but like rough body play, wrestling, CNC type stuff, and that it can't be romantic and you can't like, you know, that it's just like a physical thing, or it's always about sex. I think really sort of implicit in like it's always about rough body play and like wrestling is that it's also always about sex. So lots of misconceptions, lots of statements. Like, and also people will say stuff that like it's about letting go of all your inhibitions and tapping into your inner, you know, base lizard brain. And it's like, we talked about this on the stream last night, but that's not like a thing, really. Yeah. Yeah, just like don't out people ever. Like whether it's at a funeral anywhere, just like don't, just that shouldn't have to be said, but just don't do it. Everyone I know is okay. I kid you not, we had tornado warnings sent to all of our phones and a storm like no other. Rain, constant thunder that sounded like fireworks for 10 minutes straight, power outages. We didn't have power from 6 p.m. yesterday to 2 p.m. today. Wow! That is intense, Katie. I'm glad that everyone is okay. Because, like, I imagine that your buildings and stuff are not, like, designed to deal with that. So, of course, you know, it's going to be more intense repercussions than maybe normal. Is there a way to have a DS dynamic without titles or rules or protocols? Yes. So I think actually a lot of people that are into rope bondage kind of do this, and I'm not like fully sure how I feel about this. I feel almost like we need some kind of like linguistic distinction potentially between like DS. This might sound like the splittingiest hair, splitting hairs. I feel like there's a difference between having a DS dynamic and having a DS relationship potentially. So by DS dynamic, I mean something where maybe like, does this even make sense? Am I just like, I feel like I'm just making shit up, but I'm trying to like help maybe give you some language to work with, to describe what you want. Yeah, it's like, I guess it says, you know, I don't really think that there's any. I don't really think that there's anything that like fully connects with this definitionally. Expressing an action, activity, event, or process. So I feel like you can have a dynamic, and I feel like a dynamic is more likely to include like rules, protocol, structure, like set sort of like when A happens, do B. If you do X, Y will happen. This is your punishment. This is what like it's all very discreet and like planned out. There's like a contract maybe or a rule book or a relationship agreement or like a guideline kind of helping the relationship along. You've had conversations about that. And I think I've seen this more with people that are into like rope bondage and stuff that have more of a DS dynamic or a DS relationship that's based on like rope, but not like any other. There's no like titles, there's no rules, there's no anything. It's just like I feel like you have control over me and I give up control to you with my body, and then you receive that control and control my body. And I think that's more just like a relationship where the relationship flavor is one person, you know, if we're talking about just strict like Dom sub and not like two switches. Two switches, you could still do this. But having like, I'm the one who gives up power and control, and you're the one who takes the power and control. Like as long as that's there, I think that counts as being DS. You don't have to have like the rules and the title and structure. That is what gives body to the spirit of power exchange. But you don't necessarily have to have anything super concrete. It just helps form the body by making it be very concrete and very clear about what's happening so there are no misunderstandings or missed things or hurt feelings or broken boundaries. But again, you don't have to have it. I think as long as that spirit is there in forming the relationship of I'm the leader, you're the follower. You're the one who makes the rules, I'm the one who follows the rules. I think where that can kind of run amok potentially is when you don't have really clear communication about like where the boundaries are. I think that tends to work better where you have some kind of, I don't know what to call this other than like light consensual and non-consent, where it's not like maybe CNC in the way that people generally think about it, in terms of I am gonna do things to you that you don't like and force you, and it's gonna like you're gonna not like it but also like that you don't like it, and it's gonna be layers of this. Like by light CNC I mean that like you're not really explicitly discussing and like negotiating everything that happens, but sort of because one person is the leader, they're kind of dictating what happens and then doing it. And then the bottom or the submissive kind of goes along with it. And then, they can safe word still, they can do the other kind of, stuff to end a scene or end the relationship or communicate what their needs are. But it's less formalized and concrete. And I think because you are taking that risk of not having it formalized and not having it concrete, there is sort of an implicit level of like you are potentially doing stuff to your partner that you haven't negotiated around, and so you're doing, you have to have consent in the relationship to be able to play with those boundaries because they're not really firmly set. I don't know if that makes sense. All right, I am probably going to go in like a minute or two, so just FYI. I'm going to try to get to like maybe a couple more thoughts here. Oh, it was done maliciously and was horrifying. We kind of knew each other growing up. When they found me on FetLife, they assumed I would play with them. Oh God. Ugh. No. That was very wrong. I'm very sorry you experienced that. Why isn't Primal Play compatible with DS? Did I say that? I did not say that. I think I said specifically, the people think that it's not compatible with DS, but I don't agree with that. I think people think Primal Play is about not having hierarchy. It's about not having, like, no. How does non-animalistic Primal Play go? You have to find out in the video. Somebody is like, are you using like an axe grinder? What are they doing? It's very like metallic sounding. All right, I could not see the super chat, but thank you for the super chat, even though it got deleted because you probably said something offensive. Oh dear. I do not need $4. Thank you. Okay, all right. I think I gotta get going. It's like 4 to 8. I gotta go. Okay, so I'm not sure. I should probably even just see if this color works real quick, and we'll just. I don't think it will. I think it's way too pink. This is like totally the wrong color. Okay, I will figure something out real quick, and I gotta jet out the door. So, thank you all so much for hanging out with me on this Friday night. We do these streams every Friday at 6 normally. I forgot what time I stream on Fridays for a second. 6 until 8. I'm going to get going. If you want to see more, please subscribe, turn on notifications if you want to make sure to actually catch the next time I live stream. Actually, I think next Friday I also have a date night planned. So we may be doing a second Get Ready With Me date night video on Friday. Different partner, actually. Different person entirely, but just 2 Fridays in a row for some reason. I normally don't do Fridays, but just schedules at summer. People are busy. Try to get in time seeing people when I can. So date night next Friday also, I guess, for some reason. So stay safe, you guys. Have fun. Thank you so much for being here on this Friday. Thank you for supporting me and for supporting Bandita in our livelihoods and doing things. And yeah, I think that's probably going to be it. I will talk to you all again soon. Video came out early today if you missed it on High Protocol if you want to watch that. Big project about Primal Play coming up soon. So if you want more answers to what we talked about today, we will be getting to that soon enough. And again, I'll talk to you later. Bye.